Hi, welcome to card number 3 in today's Well Suited masterclass. I hope you're enjoying making the cards so far. For card 3 we have used a bit of the lovely designer series paper as our focus, and then I've just chosen to use one of the ties and then this lovely label die for our sentiment. Now the sentiment comes from the Handsomely Suited stamp set, and it actually says "Have a happy Father's Day, handsome." Now I'm not quite sure how many people would call their dads handsome. I know it'd be a term that I find I probably wouldn't say to my dad, although he is very, very handsome. And I'm going to show you a way that you can adapt that sentiment with this stamp set. Okay, so you're going to need your little pack of pieces that says card number 3, and everything has been everything has been pre-cut and scored for you, apart from the designer series paper. You're actually going to need to cut that down yourself using your trimmer, or however you cut your paper. So we'll do that first of all. We need to cut 2 pieces, both pieces measuring 10 centimetres across by 14.4 centimetres down. Now the best way to do this is to pop your designer series paper in your trimmer. We already know that it's just over 15 centimetres wide, so the best way to do this is to turn your paper round so that it's in your trimmer with a long edge at the top, and cut 2 pieces that are 10 centimetres wide. So we have 1 and we have 2. Okay. And then when we turn, we'll cut that down to 14.4. So that is the most economical way to cut your designer series paper today, as that way we have quite a large piece left over, which is always nice. So we can now go ahead and pop our trimmer to one side. Okay. And then everything else we have has been pre-cut and scored. So the card base that we've used for this one is actually Sahara Sand. It's a very soft stone looking colour, and I do really, really like this colour. It's probably my go-to neutral, ahead of grey and crumb cake. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can stick down our pieces of designer series paper to the front, and we can also stick that piece down on the inside as well. By all means, if you only wanted to have one piece on the outside and you wanted to save that as much of the designer series paper to use for future cards, by all means don't add the piece in the centre. Like so. Okay, so that's that done. Now that white piece inside actually hasn't got anything stamped on it, so I can go ahead and stick this piece in as well. Okay. And that leaves a really nice border of that designer series paper showing, which matches the front of the card really, really nicely. Okay, so in your little pack of pieces you have a little strip of Sahara Sand cardstock, and that measures 3 centimetres by 10.5, and that is our strip we're going to use across the card. I'm going to attach this to my card using some dimensionals, and I'm just coming to the end of a sheet of dimensionals, hence why I'm using the pieces from around the outside. And we're going to put that on our card so that it's roughly probably 3.5 centimetres from the top, but it really doesn't matter too much. You obviously just want to make sure that you've got enough room for your tie to sit nicely, and not go over the top of the card. Okay, so that is stuck down just like so. Within your little pack you've got a die cut piece. Now these comes from the Stitched Nested labels, which sadly are not available after the 3rd of May, but they've been around for a few years and they have been really, really popular. Okay, and we also have our tie. So the tie has been cut from the grey cardstock that we made card number 2 from, and you have the tie itself, and then you have the knot at the top. There is an extra piece for the knot. Okay, and I'm going to add that stick the 2 together just using a little dimensional to raise. It's just a little bit of added detail. You don't necessarily need this top piece, but it is just nice to have that extra detail. Okay, and we can go ahead and we can stick that down to our card. Okay, and I'm going to do that with a dimensional at the top, and I'm going to leave that free to kind of float around. Okay, so we've got our little tie. So this card comes together quite quickly. Now with this die, we're going to use this Have a Happy Father's Day Handsome stamp. Okay. And I'm also going to need this You're the Best image as well. So we're going to do a little bit of masking. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of washi tape, or you could use a smaller piece of cardstock and stick that down if you wanted to. And you're going to cover up that word handsome. And those of you that follow me very closely, you will know I'm a big fan of washi tape. So I have covered up that word handsome with the washi, but leaving those dots nicely exposed. So it's not encroaching on anything, it's just covering up that word handsome. Okay. Now we're going to add our Memento ink. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this piece of washi tape, because we know that bit underneath has got no ink on it at all. Okay. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment onto our die. Okay. So there we have just that lovely Have a Happy Father's Day sentiment, which is just perfect. That's what you want to say, isn't it? And that's a great technique for masking off any part of a stamp that you really don't want on there, or you want to change with another one. So now we have You're the Best, and I've actually stamped this onto some of the designer series paper, this lovely grid looking piece which is on the back of this red. And again I'm going to stamp with Memento. Okay. And I'm just going to pop that down like so. You're the Best, and we're going to trim that into just a little strip. And I love this paper because actually what you can do is you can use those grid lines to cut a nice straight banner. Okay, so I've cut the top edges nice and straight, and then each end I'm just creating a little banner, and that I'm going to stick onto my tag. Okay. And there we have it. Our little adapted sentiment. If you didn't like the effect of stamping onto the grid paper, you could by all means just stamp that, not onto the grid paper, onto the designer series paper. You could by all means just go ahead and stamp that directly onto that banner, and that would look equally as lovely as well. Okay. And then we can pop our little banner down. And then all we've got left to do on this card is just tie a little piece of the twine around the tie, which I've stuck that down with dimensional, so let's just lift that up. Okay. You will have, I think you've got 1 metre of each colour, so you've got lots of twine to play with. Okay. I'm just tying mine and having a little play to get that straight. Now my little technique for tying a bow is to tie it upside down. I have no idea why this is. Other demonstrators said, oh yeah, I do that as well. I'm sure there's a science behind it. I'm not that technical. It's just how I know it comes out a little bit better for me. Okay, so we'll just move our little tails down, give them a little snip so they're nice and equal. And there we have our finished third card of our set. Okay, I do hope you enjoyed that one. I particularly enjoy the little technique with the sentiment. I hope you do too. And we'll move on to card number 4 in the next video. Thanks then, bye for now.